Hello and welcome to Discite. I am Zen and I'm your IELTS instructor. Well, today we're going to have a look at the IELTS Writing Task 1, and in that we're going to have a look at the lexical resource and the grammatical range and accuracy departments. Both of them play a very important role. So this is really important that we write a variety of sentences. And in that we use different vocabulary. At the same time we use different grammatical structures too. And if you do that, you can take your score from, let's say, around 5.5 to a 7.5. Let's have a look at the first grammatical structure that we have. There was a adjective plus noun. So now here it's really important that you use the adjective before the noun. Now let's have a look at the first sentence that we have as an example of this structure. There was a dramatic increase in the number of tourists to Disneyland in 2000. A dramatic increase. Dramatic is a consonant sound. This is why we use the article a instead of an. Had it been a vowel, we would have used an. Dramatic increase. Increase is a noun. Dramatic is an adjective. So dramatic increase means there was a huge change. Extremely big, enormous, right? So let's have a look at the second sentence that we have. There was a slight fall in the production of footballs from 1985 to 1988. A slight fall. Slight is an adjective, fall is the noun. Slight fall. It means a little decrease, a minute decline. Not a big change, it's a small one. There was a slight fall in the production of footballs from 1985 to 1988. It means from 1985 to 1988, the number of footballs that were produced came a little lower. Let's say before 1985, they were producing 220 million. Now probably they're producing 218 or 219 million. Although there is a decline, but it's not a catastrophic one. So a minute or a small or a slight fall. Do you understand? So there was a slight fall in the production of footballs from 1985 to 1988. Let's have a look at the third sentence now. There was a minimal fluctuation in job vacancies over the whole period. So over the whole period that we are having a look at, there was a fluctuation. Fluctuation means the numbers went up and down, up and down, up and down. That's fluctuation. Sometimes the fluctuation is huge, so you call it a wild fluctuation. Sometimes it is mild or slight, not a very big change. But it's not regular, it's up and down, up and down. So let's have a look at this again. There was a minimal, it means not huge, there was a minimal fluctuation in job vacancies over the whole period. Okay, let's have a look at the fourth sentence now. There was a marginal decline in the gold prices over the 1990s. There was a marginal decline in the gold prices over the 1990s. Marginal, like not huge, very little. Again, so marginal decline, it means over the whole 1990s, from 1990 to 1999, the gold prices came slightly down. So a marginal decline, not a big one. Let's have a look at the next sentence. There was a sudden jump. There was a sudden jump in the consumption of coffee compared to tea. So sudden, it means abrupt, in no time. Here, sudden is an adjective, jump is the noun. So sudden jump, it means abrupt, in no time, suddenly. So there was a sudden jump in the consumption of coffee compared to tea. The last sentence that we have is, there was a gradual leveling off in the tempo of the game after the first half. It means in the first half, the tempo of the game was extremely high or extremely low. But in the second half, there was a leveling off. It means it became sort of steady and gradual. Okay, now let's have a look at another type of sentences which can be used to replace these sentences that we've just used. So saw, experienced, enjoyed, suffered, and then you have an adjective plus noun. So let's have a look at the first type of sentences. The number of tourists to Disneyland saw a dramatic increase in 2000. The number of tourists to the Disneyland saw a dramatic increase in 2000. Saw a dramatic increase. It means in 2000, the number of tourists to the Disneyland increased substantially, enormously. There was a huge increase. That is a dramatic increase. Too big. Let's say the numbers were around 10,000 people a year. And all of a sudden, the numbers went from 10,000 a year to 300,000 a year. That's a dramatic increase. Now, let's have a look at the second sentence. The production of footballs experienced a slight fall from 1985 to 1988. Experienced a slight fall. It means went through a slight fall. There was a minimal fall, a slight fall in the production of footballs. So the sentence is changed now. The production of footballs experienced a slight fall. Okay, now let's have a look at the third sentence. Although it's the same sentence, same meaning, but it's a different way of saying the same thing. Job vacancies saw a minimal fluctuation over the whole period. Job vacancies saw a minimal fluctuation over the whole period. Minimal fluctuation, just like the last sentence. But this time we use a different way of saying the same thing. The next sentence is, gold prices suffered a marginal decline during the 1990s. Gold prices suffered a marginal decline during the 1990s. So, marginal decline. Then, the consumption of coffee enjoyed a sudden jump. I told you enjoyed is a positive word. So the consumption of coffee enjoyed a sudden jump compared to tea. It means people started drinking more coffee all of a sudden compared to tea. Okay, so that was the second type of sentence structure. Now let's have a look at a third type of sentence structure. This time what we're going to do is we are going to use a verb followed by an adverb. So let's have a look. The first sentence again is the same one, same meaning, but a different way of saying it. Instead of using an adjective and a noun, we're going to use a verb and an adverb. So let's have a look at the first sentence. The number of tourists to Disneyland increased dramatically in 2000. Increased is a verb, dramatically is an adverb because it's adding information to a verb. In 2000, that's the date. Because it's from the past, we've used past tense. Now, if we had a date from the future, we would have used the prediction words, or we could have used the future tense. Like, the number of tourists to Disneyland will increase dramatically in 2025. Okay, that's just for the grammatical sense. Now, let's have a look at the second sentence that we had. Same meaning, but we're using a verb and an adverb. The production of football fell slightly from 1985 to 1988. Fell slightly. Fell is a verb, slightly is an adverb. Okay, now the next one. Job vacancies fluctuated minimally over the whole period. Job vacancies fluctuated minimally over the whole period. Fluctuated, verb. Minimally, adverb. The next one. Over the 1990s, gold prices declined marginally. Declined marginally. Declined is the verb. Marginally, adverb. The meaning is exactly the same. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Compared to tea, consumption of coffee jumped suddenly. Jumped, verb. Suddenly, adverb. Okay, so the last one. After the first half, the tempo of the game leveled off gradually. Leveled off, the verb. Gradually, adjective. Same meaning, but another way of saying it. Now we move on to the fourth method, and that is, what do we have before in number 3? Verb followed by an adverb. Now we have the adverb first and verb after that. Though we've changed the sentence a little bit, but you'll understand the meaning. The number of tourists to Disneyland generally increased over the whole period. Generally increased. It means in general, like overall, it was increasing. The number of tourists were increasing. Then the second sentence, although this time the sentences are a bit different, but I'll explain them to you. The population finally leveled off in 2015. Finally, at the end, eventually, leveled off. So it became steady. It means maybe it was increasing, maybe it was decreasing. But in 2015, it stabilized. So finally stabilized. That's why we said the population finally leveled off in 2015. Now, let's have a look at the next sentence. The price of crude oil occasionally fluctuated. The price of the crude oil occasionally fluctuated. It means sometimes it fluctuated, it went up or down, but usually it remained stable. Now, the last sentence of this type. Originally, it means at the beginning. Originally, the ratings increased rapidly. Now, what have we done? Have a look. Originally is an adverb used first, and then we went on with a verb and adverb again. Originally, the ratings increased rapidly and then slowed after 5 episodes. And then slowed after 5 episodes. This is an interesting sentence. It has a mixture of few. It has a verb and adverb, it just has a verb, and it has an adverb right at the beginning. So, originally, the ratings increased rapidly and then slowed after 5 episodes. Okay, now there are some sentences which are completely different, and they can be used as well to talk about the change. So let's have a look at this 5th type of sentences, which are really random and different, but you can use them too in your IELTS graph writing. The number of patients remained constant over the whole month. Now let's have a look at the second sentence. Despite the fluctuation, the dollar exchange rate stayed roughly the same from January to March. It means it did not change. It was almost the same. But let's have a look at the next sentence now. Sales of iPhone exceeded those of Samsung in China in 2020. It means in 2020, the sales of iPhones were more than the sales of Samsung. Exceeded more. Okay. Next one, the popularity of our show rose above that of theirs. The popularity of our show rose above that. Rose, it means it was above, it was more popular than their show. Okay, let's have a look at the next sentence. The price of American crude oil fell below $1 in 2020. Fell below. Well, you already know this sentence structure. Verb, adverb. Then, after reaching a peak, it means when you've reached the highest point. After reaching a peak of $100 per gram in 2018, the gold prices hit a trough in 2020. It means they were at the highest point of $100 per gram in 2018. But now they've hit the rock bottom. They're at the very low. They're at the lowest point in 2020. The last sentence, the number of new cases of COVID-19 stopped rising in the UK in April 2020. The number of new COVID-19 cases stopped rising. It means they stopped to increase, that they had reached a peak. Now they were not increasing, but were on the decline. They were decreasing in the UK in April 2020. So, these were different types of sentences. Now you can have a look at all these structures that we talked about in just one slide. Okay, I hope you've learned different ways of writing in the IELTS Writing Task 1 and you've improved your sentence structure, which will help you to improve your score in 2 categories, in Lexical Resource and Grammar. So, thank you very much for being with us. I hope you've learned something new. If you have, please like our video and subscribe to the channel.